everybody. Welcome to Off, where two sisters talk about being old, fat, and fasting. I am Krista, and usually you would hear my sister say, and I am Lori, but she's not here today. She's in the process of getting ready to move, so I will be the only one in this episode. Today, we're going to talk about sleep and the impact that a lack of sleep can have on your weight loss efforts. There is a much bigger connection between sleep and weight loss than most people think. So let's jump in. If you go back to the early 1900s, specifically 1910, people slept an average of 9 hours a night. 9 hours a night. Today, the most recent statistics show that about 35% of American adults between the ages of 30 and 64 get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. So in the last century, the average number of hours has gone down from 9 hours a night to less than 6. And about the same percentage, about 35%, are getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night. When people think about not getting sleep, I mean, the first thing that comes to your mind as far as how that's going to affect you is, I'm going to be tired the next day. I'm going to feel like I need a nap. Things like I know it's going to be hard for me to concentrate, to focus, things like that. And all of those things are true, but it's more than that. 7 hours seems to be sort of that line where if you fall under that number, your risk for lots of chronic conditions increases and your risk for certain diseases increases. I'll put a link to an article that I found that includes a table of several diseases or chronic conditions and the difference between your risk for each of those if you get over 7 hours or at least 7 hours of sleep versus less than 7 hours of sleep. On that list are arthritis, depression, asthma, COPD, diabetes, heart attack, coronary heart disease, stroke, chronic kidney disease, and cancer. So your risk for all of these things goes up if you get fewer than 7 hours of sleep a night. I think we all know that a lack of sleep can increase your stress levels. We've all experienced that, right? You get a bad night's sleep, you're stressed more the next day. So when you're stressed, your cortisol levels are high. Cortisol is a hormone that your body produces, and it produces more cortisol when you are stressed, and it produces more cortisol when you aren't getting enough sleep. The body also produces more adrenaline when you are sleep deprived. So fewer than 7 hours a night. But it also affects the levels of two hormones in your body that impact when you feel hungry and when you feel full. The names of those two hormones are ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is the hormone that gives you that hunger feeling. It tells you when you need to eat. Leptin does the opposite. Leptin is what kicks in to tell you, I've eaten enough, I feel full, I'm satisfied, I can stop eating now. There was one study that showed that just one night of getting fewer than 7 hours of sleep can boost your cortisol levels by 100%. So a lack of sleep puts enough stress on your body that it produces twice the amount of cortisol it does when you're rested, when you're not stressed. And it stays high for at least 24 hours because by bedtime the following night, it can still be 37 to 45% higher than it would be if you had gotten a good night's sleep. There was also a study of 1,000 people that showed that the ones who got less than 8 hours of sleep a night had a ghrelin level that was 14.9% higher than those who got 8 or more hours of sleep. And their leptin level was 15.5% lower than those who got 8 hours or more of sleep. So the hormone that tells your body it's hungry, it needs food, was almost 15% higher in people who got fewer than 8 hours of sleep a night. And the hormone that tells you I'm full, I can stop eating now, was 15.5% lower in people who got fewer than 8 hours of sleep a night. So when you're trying to lose weight and you're not getting enough sleep, the hormone that you want to be balanced, well, the two hormones you want to be balanced, you want the ghrelin to be at a normal level so that you don't feel hungry when you're really not hungry, is high. So you're going to feel hungry more often when you're not really hungry. The hormone that tells you I'm full, I'm satisfied, you want that balance too, so that you don't overeat. But if you're not getting enough sleep, that hormone is high. So you're going to feel like you need to eat more than you do. This is one of the keys to fasting. It's one thing that Jason Fung talks about over and over and over again in his videos and in his books. Losing weight and keeping it off for the long term is about more than just calories in and calories out. That's not really the key. The key is balancing your hormones, the hormones that impact when you feel hungry, how long you feel hungry, when you feel like you're satisfied. And fasting helps to balance those hormones. We'll talk more about that in another video. And one of the keys to balancing those hormones, along with fasting, is sleep. And, on top of that is some of the other things that we know that we all have experienced that also affect your weight. I think we can all relate to the day after you don't get a good night's sleep. You're a little fuzzy in your head. You process things more slowly, right, in your brain. You don't always make the right choices, things like that. So even beyond the hormones, sleep can lead to not making the greatest choices, not thinking things through logically. And, you make bad choices when you're trying to lose weight. You probably eat food you wouldn't ordinarily eat, or you eat more than you normally would, right? I think most of us have experienced that. So, that can't be stressed enough either. I've talked about Lori and I both have, in some of our episodes about fasting is at least as much a mental challenge as it is a physical one. And just like, we've talked about after you fast for a while, in the beginning, yes, it is difficult. It is very difficult. You will, those hunger hormones and satiety hormones are probably out of balance. They are for a lot of people. And until those get in line, until your body gets used to not eating for long periods, you're going to feel hungry. to a level that, you're not used to. So you're going to be more tempted to eat until you learn that that hunger feeling does go away. And it doesn't take it hours and hours to go away. You are going to be more tempted to eat. And adjusting to all those things is mental. And a lack of sleep can affect you and your ability to make decisions and your ability to say, yeah, I'm just going to push through it. I know I'm not going to be this hungry in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna throw a few more statistics at you because I think that giving you real life information about the impact of sleep on weight loss will help drive home the point of that, of how important it is. I said before that fewer than 7 hours of sleep a night does increase your risk for a lot of chronic conditions. It also can trigger weight gain. Studies show that getting from 5 to 6 hours a night increases your risk of weight gain by 50%. And over 30% of adults are getting fewer than 6 hours of sleep a night. And in these studies where they tracked the number of hours that people slept and how much weight they gained, as the number of hours they slept went down, the number of pounds they gained went up. And last, children who get fewer than 8 hours of sleep a night have an 89% greater chance of developing obesity than children who get 8 or more hours of sleep a night. Adults who get fewer than 8 hours of sleep a night have a 55% greater chance of developing obesity than those who got 8 or more hours of sleep a night. So obviously, the result of chronic sleep deprivation that so many people, so many Americans have these days has a much bigger impact than I think most of them realize. It doesn't just leave them tired the next day, which in itself creates enough problems, right? But it also increases your risk of all these diseases. But if you're watching this, you probably have some concern about your weight. And I just want to make it clear that working on your sleep habits is critical. If you're not getting at least 7 hours a night of sleep, then losing weight is going to be much more challenging. And sometimes too, not just with fasting, with any effort that you make to lose weight, any way you try to do that. I won't say always, but almost always, at some point you kind of stall, right? You get a few pounds off and then you kind of get stuck. When that happens, there's a lot of things that you need to look at, I think. And one is your sleep. If you've come to a point like that, I think what you should do is start thinking about, are there things related to my general health that I need to think about? Am I drinking enough water? Am I being active throughout the day, even if that just means taking a walk or making sure you get, a certain number of steps a day or something? And sleep is one of those as well. I just can't stress the importance of sleep enough. That will wrap up this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.